appears automatically, so.
Okay. Just scroll down, just follow the meeting.
Follow me.
I don't.
All right, Dre, you better be ready to run over here.
Well, we noticed Dowling conveniently decided to sit over there because he was tired.
Yeah, I see. See, John.
Yoakum's like, what?
Smart move. Yeah, smart move. Yeah. Yeah. I see Jason rushed to that corner seat. That's right. What's up, man? Ken, you all right? All right. We got to get together.
Check, check. It is 6:30, May 9th, Tuesday. And at this time, I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting. We will start with Pledge of Allegiance, and invocation will be given by 6th Ward Council Member Will Forgrave.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask everybody to take a moment of silence to pray or reflect or meditate, however they see fit. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you will proceed with a roll call for us.
Mayor Mahoney,
Present.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Present.
Councilmember Dancy,
Here, here.
Councilmember Gunn,
Present.
Councilmember Schlechte,
Here.
Councilmember Bennell,
Here.
Councilmember Forgrave.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Thank you very much. Brings us to item number 5, presentations and proclamations. We have none. Brings us to item number 6, public hearing. Looking for a motion in support. Oh, wait. Oh, yes. No, y'all just gonna wait for the clerk to stop? Okay, rewind. Looking for a motion in support to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. I just want to comment that before the meeting, Freddie had a stern talk with me about time. Got me under pressure over here. Okay, any additions, deletions, corrections on the agenda? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. All right. You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's larger.
Oh, yeah.
It's larger. Shout out to the clerk for making that larger. Okay. Brings us down to, again, item number 5. No presentations or proclamations today. Brings us to item number 6, public hearing. Looking for a motion and support to open a public hearing on the fiscal year 2023-2024 proposed budget.
So moved. Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. All right. Passes unanimously. And before we get started, I will start by reading the rules for speaking before the council during a public hearing. Number 1, each speaker will state their name and address. Number 2, during public hearings, the city council may enact a timeline on all speakers to ensure that all present get an equal chance to speak. Council members may answer questions during this time. Number 3, each speaker shall be polite and courteous to the council and members of the public in attendance. While any speaker is free to express his or her opinion on any subject, no speaker may direct personal attacks at any member of the staff or council unrelated to the manner in which they perform their duties. Use obscene language while addressing the city council or engage in disruptive or disorderly behavior during a council meeting. Number 4, should the mayor determine that any of the items listed in number 3 occur, the mayor may declare the speaker out of order. Number 5, if a speaker is declared out of order, the mayor by the mayor and refuses to cease and desist from disruptive or disorderly conduct, the mayor may order the person removed from the meeting. Mr. John Wilson.
Good evening. John Wilson, 1045 South Durant Street, Jackson, Michigan. I'm here just to briefly speak on the proposed 23-24 general fund budget. And hopefully City Council will call this proposed budget what it is, and that's part of the budget being the 12% water rate increase. That right there should be a deal killer. That should be dead on arrival. Send it back to the city manager. The majority of city residents, your constituents, cannot afford another water rate increase. All of you know that. City Manager Jonathan Green can maybe tell us sometime tonight just how much water rates have increased in the last 5 years. A couple of you sat on the council during those water rate increase votes. Enough is enough. Again, the city residents, the residential ratepayers, cannot afford any more increases in water rates or sewer rates. That right there should be taken back to Jonathan Green and have him come back with something more reasonable, like a 0 increase in water rates. None of us can afford it. There are those on fixed incomes, these retirees, these hard-working Jackson residents who just go from paycheck to paycheck as it is. I know a couple who live on Elmwood Avenue, and this elderly couple are on a fixed income. They had to cut their cable because they cannot afford to pay cable. And, you know, these are retirees. What do they do at night? They like to watch TV. And this gentleman told me that he can no longer watch his NASCAR because he no longer can afford the cable. He had to cut the cable. Reason? Water rates, along with, of course, groceries and other basic necessities. So again, think of that when you're voting on this budget tonight. The state began its fiscal year with a $9 billion budget surplus. That $9 billion could be sent right back to the city of Jackson, along with other cities throughout the state, to cover their unfunded lead water replacement line mandate, period. They have the money to do so, and they will do so eventually. So I read that part of the reason that you're going to need this 12% increase is because of lead water line replacements. Lansing will pay for that. It's an unfunded mandate, and if they don't pay for it, then leave those lines alone. Our water is just fine. All right, thank you, and good luck with the budget.
John C. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John King, 203 3rd Street here in the city. With John speaking to mention the water rates, that reminded me that Consumers Energy from the old Kinder Morgan plant was able to get out of the contract that was bringing in a bunch of money, and that is part of why water rates are going up. I would like, the city manager stepped out, but I would like to see that discussed along with the budget, and to maybe to see if something can be done to restart up that contract. I know I've heard, like, even our 6th Ward council member said that, Consumers Energy is a really powerful company, kind of like, we can't force them to abide by that contract. So I would like to see that done. And also, with the way the Residents in Action money was spent in the homeless effort and everything like that, as I had mentioned, that's not really what the city's designed to do. And I would like to see the city get away from doing that and actually providing services, whether it's fixing potholes, sweeping streets and things like that. those are the services I want to see the budget go towards paying, not things that, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services or other agencies should be handling. Thank you.
Council, any discussion on the public hearing? It's not. That was just the only two submissions that I had for public hearing. For citizens' comment, but this is actually public hearing. Yep. Yep, that's okay. I do got your, I got you. Nope, that's no problem. It's no problem. Just name and address for us, please.
Sure. Peter Bournemouth, 142 West Pearl Street. I just wanted to comment that with regard to the water rate increase, that I am still fighting Consumers Energy and the permit that Eagle approved for them to drill their own 3 wells out there, each well capable of withdrawing up to 2.5 million gallons per day, although the permit limit is 5.0, so not 7.5 million. I had a hearing before a administrative judge, and he ruled that I didn't have standing to pursue the case, and I have now appealed that to a 3-judge panel, which is a new procedure that was instituted in 2018, rather than making a motion for reconsideration. So there still is a possibility. I wouldn't say it's a high one. I do have all the best legal arguments, but judges, I've noticed at the state level, pretty much do what they want to do. So there's a possibility that consumers might still be forced to come back into the city of Jackson water service, but the probability is that they're going to continue to go on with their own wells. Thank you.
Hello, Maurice Imhoff, 705 Southwest Avenue, founder of the Jackson County Historical Society and local historian. Over the years, this council and others have spent tens of thousands of dollars on new art to go in the city, and maybe more. But one thing I haven't seen, at least while I've been around, is funding to go towards preservation of art that is already installed. I think that's one big piece that is really missing. I'd hope to see part of this budget go towards, and specifically speaking, our soldiers and sailors monuments, Laura Evans Memorial at the Elmwood Cemetery, Mount Evergreen Cemetery, I don't know, the Jackson Cemetery, the historian, too many cemeteries. But even the one right up the road, that was one of Jackson, and still is one of Jackson's pridest possessions, veterans who went off to fight to preserve the Union, just young boys who went off to fight to end slavery, and that monument really has been mistreated. It's really deteriorating over time, so I'd really love to see some funding in this budget goes towards the historic preservation of those monuments. Thank you.
Council, any comments during the public hearing that you guys may have? Okay, not seeing any from council. I do have a couple of questions just to try to help clarify some of the concerns that were brought up about water rates. Jonathan, can you or someone from staff just like briefly discuss the schedule for water rate increases? If not doing water rate increases would impact the budget negatively, and any other information that you might be able to contribute.
Yeah, I can do a little bit. So when the budget is adopted, what we will be asking council to consider at the same time would be to consider an 8% increase, not a 12% increase in water, and a 6% increase in sewer rates. I was doing some quick and dirty math. We charge $4.18 per 784 gallons of water. So real quickly, we charge 0.0053363 cents per gallon of water. That seems like a good deal to me. Over the last 20 years, why we find ourselves, in addition to the lead and copper rule from the state of Michigan, something we cannot avoid, something we cannot comply with, something we cannot pick and choose who gets a lead line replaced and who doesn't. We cannot do any of those things. Over the last 20 years, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of no water rate increases. That is why we find ourselves in the position we are today. Had previous iterations of this council done, I mean, I don't know this for sure without going back and doing the math, but just tied water rate increases to the cost, the rate of inflation, we may not be in this position right now. But we find ourselves in this position because we have aging infrastructure, because we are paying for sins of the past, and we're trying to pay for those sins in as least impactful way as possible by using strongly our American Rescue Plan Act dollars to make a lot of these improvements and to fund at a basic level lead service lines, and over time grow our lead service line replacement program with this additional funding to make that happen. Our water plant was built in the 70s, wastewater plant, I think, in the same vintage. We have a lot of work to do. We have all that work at the plant and all that work in our distribution and collection systems that we need to maintain. We do not have a choice. After Flint and the debacle there with their water system, the state of Michigan doesn't give municipalities and water providers a choice. We have to invest in our infrastructure. So we could do it this way by voluntarily looking at our capital improvement plan and making adjustments and making plans and trying to make it work. Or we could adopt zeros across the board, and in time, the state of Michigan will come in and they'll tell us what we need to charge for our rates. And you guys won't have a choice in that. We won't have a choice in that. We will simply have to raise the water rates enough to operate the system. And some of the larger costs of our operations, and you might be surprised to know this, but the increases that we're seeing, they're not necessarily with staff. They're on our supplies. There are 20% increases on the chemicals used to treat water to make it drinkable for all of us.
No,
Like-
we don't really have an option on.
No, we have to buy those chemicals. Otherwise, we won't have safe, healthy, quality drinking water.
And we are, just to add to that, for clarification, we are purchasing that through a consortium which helps reduce that cost.
Yes.
Because we're purchasing with other people who are purchasing the same chemicals.
Yes, that's correct. I can't say it any better myself. So it's unfortunate that we've gotten at this point. And the story told up here in the public hearing, that's meaningful, it's impactful. However, we have no choice. Could we get along for a little while having 0%? We could, but it'd just be kicking the can down the road. Someone else sitting up here and someone else in our seats would have to deal with this. And right now, today's dollars, as inflated as they are always cheaper than future dollars.
I do want to also add that I did have one of the first conversations that I had was when I came into office was actually with a representative from consumers, and we talked about how they broke away from the system, and I don't want to speak on their behalf, but part of that conversation, what I was told is that being a public utility, once they traveled down the road of figuring out if it would be less expensive for them to dig their own well, and they found out that it was, because they are a public utility, it didn't matter at that point. They have to do what costs the least amount of money, because that's what they're mandated to do by law. So at this rate, I don't know if that's a road that we can even go back down. Per what I've been told, again, I'm not speaking on their behalf, that would be something that we would have to defer that conversation to the higher ups at consumers on the details on that. Is there anything in addition that you want to add?
Oh, that was it.
Okay. Anybody else from council have any other thoughts, comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
I've just got a couple. Kind of tying along the lines of the water rate increases. I almost wish that Mike or Chandra was here to kind of talk about it, but our water rates are actually very reasonable according to what a lot of other municipalities are charging for their water. Wish I had the information in front of me. I think it was about a 1,300 cubic foot home. It was going to be about $9 more per month on the water increase, and that's just the water.
Probably quarter.
Thank you, per quarter. I always think per month. Per quarter, about $9 per quarter, which I don't think that that's overreaching by any means. It's $9. That just might mean that someone might not go grab a couple cups of coffee or, what have you, not go to McDonald's once or twice in 3 months. And that alone is going to pay for that water rate increase just on the water. And we've got over, I think, $100 million in capital improvements that need to be made on our water and sewer system over the next 5 years. And not all of that's going to we get some money from the federal government, but we still have to chip in. We can't just expect the federal government to pay for everything. We did luck out, I think, a lot with the ARPA dollars that we got, and being able to pay for a lot of those improvements with those funds. And I think that that's definitely helping us not have to do as high of a rate increase as we could or other municipalities might be charging. I think that's really all I have.
I just want to say we kicked the can down the road. We didn't. Previous administrations kicked the can down the road regarding roads, and look where we are. So.
Any other comments from council? Okay, seeing or hearing none, looking for a motion and support to close the public hearing.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And just for public consumption, I believe we will look to have, that passes unanimously, but we will look to have the budget come back at our next meeting for final approval. That brings us down to citizens' comment, item number 7. Before we get started, as usual, I will read the rules for speaking before City Council during public comment, citizen comment time. Number 1, each speaker will state their name and address. Number 2, each speaker is limited to up to 3 minutes. During the citizen comment portion of the meeting, council members will not debate or answer questions at this time. Number 3, each speaker shall be polite and courteous at all times. While any speaker is free to express his or her opinion on any subject, no speaker may curse, direct personal insults at any member of the staff or council, use obscene language while addressing the city council, or engage in disruptive or disorderly behavior during a council meeting. Should the mayor determine that any of the items listed in item number 3 occur, the mayor may declare the speaker out of order. Number 5, if a speaker is declared out of order by the mayor and refuses to cease and desist from disruptive or disorderly conduct, the mayor may order the person removed from the meeting. Number 6, each speaker may speak once under public comment and may not yield their time to others. Let me know when you're ready, Madam Clerk.
That's bizarre.
It's fine with me. Okay. All right. Mr. John C. King.
John King, 203 3rd Street here in the city. Just a few hours ago, a jury found what anyone else should know, that President Trump didn't rape the lying fame seeker in New York. President Trump wasn't the only famous man she lied about raping her. Unfortunately, the jury decided that they didn't like President Trump or the things he said, so they awarded her $5 million. Politics shouldn't play a part in courts, but that is what happened in the New York courtroom this afternoon. This is what the Democrat Party is hoping for: courts and juries in left-wing areas playing politics. The attorney for the man that recently died on a subway when being restrained by 3 individuals said he was a loving man. That must include when that man beat up a 67-year-old woman, breaking her nose and fracturing her orbital bone, not to mention the over 40 other times police had to be called because of him. His threats forced the individuals that restrained him to do so. While this incident became breaking news, so did an Atlanta shooting in which a black man murdered a white nurse and shot others at a hospital. The media didn't want to mention the race of the individuals involved in that incident, and it quickly faded from their reporting. The New York subway incident has just gained political steam. This is just the disgusting politics, the mainstream media, and the political left. Then there's the mass shooting in Texas Saturday. The media didn't seem to come out with information on the shooter for at least a day until finally they decided to push the narrative that the shooter was a white supremacist. This is about a person with a name that would require someone like the city clerk, who is proficient in pronouncing Hispanic names, to pronounce, and has parents that need a translator. Meanwhile, the manifesto of the woman claiming to be a man that murdered 3 children and 3 adults at a Christian school still is being withheld, presumably so the public won't know why she did it. It's the same politics of race that gets us to Residents in Action report. There is no accounting on how they spent funds in the final report. We're told in December it was found there was 50-50 among blacks and whites in the homeless count, but their numbers in the report show drastically different numbers. Questions should be asked, like how much of the products purchased on the city's dime for the April 6th meeting was left and what was done with them. Projects like this should not be done anymore. Thank you.
Catherine Kiersmaker.
Can you see me now? My name is Catherine Kiersmaker. I reside at 1116 South Durand. I'm here to discuss taxation without representation. This is not something this board can address. I'm talking specifically about the Jackson County Intermediate School Board. First of all, it doesn't reflect the makeup of Jackson County. The taxpayers who pay the taxes for the ISD have no say as to who sits on that board. The city collects the taxes for the ISD, yet as taxpayers, we have no right to vote on the governing body. That is taxation without representation, which is against the Constitution. Each taxpayer has the right to elect boards for schools, cities, townships, villages, the county, but not the ISD. The ISD board is elected by the county school boards. Each school has one vote, except for JPS, who has 2 votes because of the population of their students. Better than 40% of my taxes that I pay to the city goes directly to the ISD. Yet I have no say who sits on that board, and you as taxpayers have no say who sits on that board. Under the Constitution, this is a miscarriage of justice, and we have to remember our history, the Boston Tea Party. It is understood collecting taxes is essential to maintain the function of the ISD. I don't begrudge them that. I fail to see how we as taxpayers are rightfully represented. I have had this conversation with Kathy Schmaltz. It is the state legislature that oversees the ISD, and the state legislature has not addressed this since 1976. They do not follow Robert's Rules of Law. There is no diversity on the board. It is made up of 5 people, 1 woman and 4 old white men. It's time that we as citizens stand up and ask for fully being able to represent who sits on that board, and we should have that right. Thank you.
William Hastings.
William Hastings, 1231 Highland Boulevard in the city. I have to digress for a second. At the beginning, I just want to comment on Mr. Green's remarks about the water rates. He said we have no choice. That may well be the case, but I don't think anyone on this board can say we have no choice until we pull Kathy Schmaltz, Jonathan Lindsay, Sue Shink, and others into this room, as Mr. Wilson suggested, and directly petition the state to see if we can get some relief. It certainly can't hurt to ask. So, moving on to my main remarks, I would like to begin by commending Mr. Peter Bournemouth's outstanding public comment at the last council meeting concerning the gross abuse of the City Election Commission, which allowed the very well politically connected Connor Wood to redistrict Laura Dwyer Schlechte out of her seat in the 4th Ward, which he has now proceeded to run for himself. A brazen abuse of power is what Peter called it, and I concur, and every civic-minded person I've spoken to about this disgusting act concurs as well. The question I have for this body is, why do you not concur? A sleazy political hit job was just carried out by the Election Commission, yet you seem to have nothing to say about that. Where's your due diligence? Where's your basic decency? Speaking of the City Election Commission, it's gone. MIA. Missing in action. Don't take my word for it. Take a look on the city website. There's 18 separate boards, councils, and commissions are listed, but take a look right between the DDA and Ellis Sharp Park Board, and what do you see? Nothing. All references to the Election Commission have been scrubbed from the city site. Now take a look on the agendas and minutes page for the various commissions. It's been deleted from there as well. Every agenda, all the minutes for the Elections Commission. Gone, baby, gone. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Green, Mr. Haggerty, and members of council, you are breaking the law, and you are in flagrant violation of the Michigan Open Meetings Act of 1976 by removing those agendas and minutes from public view. I suspect those agendas and minutes are being poured over on Connor Wood's laptop as I speak, so they can be selectively edited for public consumption at a future date convenient to him. This is election interference, and since Connor Wood lacks the personal authority to remove public information from the city website, this strongly suggests conspiracy and collusion to commit election fraud. In addition to public records being illegally removed from the city website, Mr. Wood has deleted all reference to his selfless service on the Election Commission from his LinkedIn page and has also completely deleted his Twitter page. He'd like the public to think he never heard of, let alone served on, the Election Commission, a true man of the people. Note to Connor Wood, the internet is forever.
Jeremy Davidson.
Appreciate you guys letting me speak. Before I get into what, I want to just piggyback on the young gentleman talking about the art. And it got me thinking about the campaign downtown. It's really beautiful down there, so I appreciate that. My wife and I spend a lot of time down there. My name is Jeremy Davidson, 3920 Legacy Drive in Jackson. I'm here for a simple issue. The lead service project, we submitted a bid on that. I was here for the public opening of that. There were 3 line items that were supposed to be read off at the public opening. It was supposed to be a overall bid price for the whole project. It was supposed to be a per unit price and a service price. They read ours first. Everything was just the way it was supposed to be. The second bid, who was the low bidder, they only read the per unit price and the hourly rate price for service, had there be a problem, which could potentially happen. And I immediately questioned it. I just said, that sounded like an incomplete bid. There's 3 spots on that bid form where they were supposed to fill in the full price amount, and then the last spot, they're actually supposed to hand write that on the second page. And I don't believe any of that was done, because when I called them on it, everybody kind of looked at each other and just proceeded, and I dropped it. But I just want to make you guys aware of it. I believe it was a incomplete, non-compliant bid. And even though their overall price per unit may have been cheaper, our service rate was $20 an hour cheaper than what theirs was. And if you guys would look into that, I would appreciate it. I immediately thought it would get thrown out when I was in the room, and it didn't happen, and it just intrigued me. So that's the only issue I have. I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you.
Christy Davis.
Good evening, Christy Davis, 604th Street. I just wanted to, I wanted to thank the city council or whoever made the decision for providing the Emmons people and the yard waste removal for our Ward 5 cleanup on Saturday. It went really well. We helped about, I would say, 20-plus families, and with yard and house cleanup stuff. We served only around 30 meals, but we had a really good time, and we talked to a lot of people that came by. Ace Hardware out on Spring Arbor Road donated yard waste bags. Polly's donated water. And then we had some residents on 4th Street that donated hot dogs and buns for the dinner. We had, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had about 12 volunteers. So for only 12 volunteers, I think we did pretty darn good. And it was a pretty good mix of people. We had 3 from Together We Could Make a Difference, 2 people that lived on 5th Street, 3 of us lived on 4th. Laura Schlechte was pretty instrumental in a lot of stuff for the cleanup day. We actually had 2 kids. They were really good in the morning, kind of flaked out a little bit towards the end of the day, but it was a long day. And then we had 1 non-city resident, was my sister, so I might have guilted her into that a little. 2 trailers and 6 vehicles. Laura actually provided her dump trailer and her, is it yard waste trailer? And the grappler thingy, which was super awesome to watch. And she got to learn how to work it really good. We had 1 volunteer. They went back and cleaned up more stuff today, and he's working on something else in the alley. We had another volunteer, felt bad that we didn't get to somebody's house. They're going back later this week. Laura gave me some contact information for somebody in the city that might be able to help a few people that we couldn't get to. And then I have a couple people that I'm working on. And next, we're hoping to be able to do some stuff with the alley and get that cleaned up. I've been talking to Laura on that as well. And Right Way Boxing, they weren't there because they already had an event that evening, but they let us use their parking lot for the dinner. But we're also going to be working on some neighborhood watches, so hopefully we can get some stuff going. But it was super fun, but thank you for whatever help you guys provided on that. It was awesome.
Peter Bormuth.
Peter Bournemouth, 142 West Pearl Street. I want to speak to some of the things that are happening in the nation, and I'm not going to address some of the issues here at the city. Texas just voted today to remove counselors from public schools and replace them with chaplains, with Christian chaplains. Texas previously voted, and the governor signed, a bill to post the 10 Commandments in every school and to require prayer breaks for students. Montana introduced a bill to eliminate the teaching of scientific theories. You can still teach scientific facts, but not the theory that ties it together. And obviously, the bill was derived to stop us from teaching evolution and stop us from teaching climate change. In Montana, they also forced out a trans woman who was duly elected by her 12,000 constituents and have refused to let her re-enter the House of Representatives, or whatever it's called in Montana. In Tennessee, they forced out two young black lawmakers, for protesting against gun violence. In Florida, they have taken away the rights of teachers to have books in their classrooms. They have taken away the rights of teachers to teach African American history. They have taken away the rights of teachers to say the word gay or to have a rainbow flag in their classroom. I'd like to talk to everyone in this room, in this city, and in this country about this creeping Christian nationalism that is trying to take over our government. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our citizens' comment. Brings us down to item number 8, petitions and communication from city staff and other governmental entities to be accepted and placed on file. Looking for a motion and support to accept and place on file the Environmental Commission minutes for 3/15/23.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote.
Bringing up the last one, public hearing.
Just got to refresh the screen.
The tough decision. There it is. That's, I heard him say that, so I'll do that too.
Yeah.
Passes unanimous. Brings us down to item number 9, looking for a motion and support for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, removals, or comments on the
I just have a question. On 9.9, do they really need approval if it's on their property? It's the sheriff's open house.
Let me catch up to where you are.
I'm just kind of curious, but. Oh, probably because part of that's on city property.
Looks like they are requesting street closures,
Oh, okay.
so that'd be why.
Thank you.
Yeah, it says I did that too.
Yep, they are requesting street closures, gonna be doing some foot traffic and have some games out there, so.
I didn't see that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You show up now?
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous. Brings us down to item number 10, 10.1. Looking for a motion and support to accept the final report for winter sheltering of the city's unhoused.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion, questions, comments, concerns on that report.
So I have a comment. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get the report until 9 a.m. today. I was in a conference, therefore it didn't get back to my office till after 5 o'clock, and my granddaughter was there that I don't get to see very often, and so I haven't read this. And it looks like it's 25 pages of reference material with 1 page of financial. Is this the financial, or am I missing a document?
That's the financial that was submitted. There's some, working on getting some more granular data to the supporting documents for all those numbers.
Okay, well, this was due at the last meeting, and I recognized that she had an emergency, but the report should have been done prior to that meeting. So getting it at 9 o'clock today, to me, is unacceptable. I mean, we have no choice, but it just doesn't make any sense, and I understand the city didn't get it until late last night, so I just find that, and to have 25 pages of this and only 1 page of this, when this is really, it's all important information, but I don't know what the city's gonna do with this information. Maybe Corey can use it in some of his, and Michelle can use it in some of their reports, I'm not sure. The other question I would have is, did any of these people get connected with more permanent housing or counseling or wraparound service? Like I know if, and Angelita might be able to confirm or explain it better than I certainly can, is if Angelita had someone who needed housing, she refers them to somebody, and then they reach out and try and get them in a permanent, stable housing, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, we
so did any of these,
I think that's a great question. I don't think that was the expectation that we set or put in the RFP, but I will invite Tasha up to the mic, if you will, for any questions. I also think that there's plenty of times where us as council don't read anything in the packet until we get here. So while it may not have been the most ideal for the report to be submitted today, I think, unfortunately, I'm just going to call out, I feel like that we have been extra overly critical about this project when we have had staff giving oversight to this project since day one. But I will allow Tasha to answer any questions at this time that council may have for her regarding the report.
I have a question. When do we expect to get any receipts or invoices or communications from third parties, say hotels or restaurants or fiduciaries, that can be included publicly with this report?
So, all of the receipts have been submitted to the fiduciary, and the fiduciary is Family Services and Children's Aid. I think along the way, there have also been communications with me and the city staff, so they do have detail of what is on the receipts, like the total amounts and the stores and the dates that things were purchased. I don't know if that level of detail, doesn't sound like that level of detail has been shared with the
Not
city
yet.
council.
Yeah.
Will it be?
Yeah.
I'd like it to be. So awesome. Yeah, great. I'm glad to hear we have it. So maybe at the next meeting we can share it. Okay.
I would like just to take notice that on that last page, looking at the last page, there has been a lot of criticism. But I mean, if you look at the breakdown, like 66% of the funding, I should probably pull it up so I'm quoting the right thing. Well, I guess before I even respond to that part, I will say that the RFP, that we have gone above and beyond what was in the RFP. The RFP basically was to hotel people and monitor people in the hotel. We not only hoteled them, we fed them. We did coordinate navigation services and connected people to resources. There were, we did a complete assessment, built a whole algorithm to prioritize who we placed in the hotel, and we help people get signed up for food benefits, and none of that was outlined in the RFP. So I feel like being asked that at this juncture or at this point of the project, it's kind of, I don't know, critical, for lack of a better word, when that was the original ask was to simply put people in a hotel and monitor that process.
Sure. I think we have been critical. With that being said, are we critical in other situations when we go out for bid for other projects? Let me ask it this way, right? Let's say we do a construction project to do a street, and this is more aimed at the city manager at this point and city staff, but let's say we do a construction project, we go out for bid, we select the low bidder. That bidder goes out and does the work, and then comes back and says, hey, we changed a lot about it. It's more, it's less. Do we say great and vote yes on that change order, or do we have them prove it in some way?
We have improved it in some way.
Okay, I'd like them to prove it in some way, is what I'm saying.
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
So, looking at that last page, and actually referring to page, sorry, I don't have my glasses, page 20 as well, there's a breakdown of the overall budget, 65%, or $128,000 is what went towards hotel expenses. And then if you look at below under other expenses, the other line item or budget line items are there. Fiduciary was 15%, so that accounted for 13.17% of the actual budget. And then rent, utilities, storage was 1%. Food ended up being almost 5% of the budget. Salaries were almost 12%. And then office supplies, which we haven't totally spent all of that, I didn't want to overextend the budget. We had some late charges come in from the hotel, so I kind of backed off on that line item. But right now, it's sitting at 0.23%. And so then the overall for other expenses was almost 35% of the budget. So then, I guess focusing back on that last page, the reallocations we took from the food budget, which originally was $40,000, we spent $9,823. So we really we partnered and collaborated with businesses throughout the continuum of this project so that we could reallocate funds to the hotels so people could actually stay in the hotels longer. So, and then also for the clothing, warming, and basic supplies, $20,000 was originally allocated, and we spent $6,743.34. So, I guess what I'm saying, the lion's share of this budget was hotel. And then the staff really went above and beyond to monitor that process, seek collaborative partners throughout the project, connect people to resources. I mean, I'm still actually getting calls today from people who are still self-disclosing that they're homeless, and we're still helping them because that's just what we do as residents, help people.
So I don't think my question got answered, though, is, because I would assume that if someone is homeless, because I've called on a few people, like TTI, I've called specifically. I know there's a process of trying to connect them to someplace to stay or live or whatever. I don't know clearly as much as those of you who work in that field. So did any of these people get permanent housing, get connected with the people who helped them find that housing?
There were. I think we ended up with about 5 people who actually got placed in permanent housing, either from our help and support, completing applications, or just directing them to the right resources. Just about everybody that we placed in a hotel completed a Jackson Housing Commission application. So everybody filled it. In addition to Jackson Housing Commission, it was they also Southridge Park and other apartment complexes throughout the city. That information was shared.
Okay, and then I just want to make a statement that I think maybe we come across as hard or critical because the statistics about who you served was pretty readily available, but the finance, I think we only saw it 3 times at the very beginning. And I think I can speak for myself, I guess, not the rest of the council, but our expectations were that this would be online for everybody to see, so that if they had questions, it's about open government, right? So not getting it in a timely fashion. And I know the mayor asked you specifically, would you have it by the second meeting in April? I get you had an emergency. I hope it turned out to the better and not to the worse. But I assume that this, as evidenced by not getting it until late last night for the city, this report must not have been done until yesterday, not have finished. Clearly, you put a lot of work and time into it because it's pretty lengthy, so I'm sure you didn't do that in a minute.
So I will say the budgetary, Jonathan, I need you to help me here. It sounds like what has been submitted throughout the continuum of the project as far as budget, because it sounds like the budget piece is the most important part, and the budget, I didn't change, I didn't do anything different for the budget as far as what was presented here on the new template that you sent today. But everything in the budget was actually submitted weeks ago.
Yeah. Corey and I were talking about that. So
Okay.
we're just looking, I think we're gonna go one or two more steps. We're going with more granular detail.
Okay.
So I know that takes some time to get around,
Mhm.
so we're okay. No one's running away from this thing. We don't wanna talk about it or look at it anymore.
Mhm.
We'll provide all the information required.
Well, I'd like to say that I think you did some incredible work. I can tell that you did case management, which is what Laura is referring to, that case management. And even though we may not have a chart that tracked every family that was supported through the project, we got enough information to kind of glean that, some people were helped. And I know just from my experience at Aware that not everybody has a good outcome. Sometimes they end up going back, and sometimes they end up being homeless again. And so from what I read, incredible work in a really short period of time. And yeah, I think it was a good project and a lot of success.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments from council?
The only other thing I would mention is I wasn't sure that we would necessarily need to see receipts. I'm not, and this is all new to me. But, I wasn't necessarily expecting to see all that detail, but I think this tells us a lot.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think receipts are a little granular to the city manager's point. But to my point, I think when we use any contractor and they do a change order or they come back and we close out the project, they're not the only ones signing their name to that document that we're voting on. There's typically a consultant that says this is accurate. There's
Yep.
typically the city manager's signature that says this is accurate.
Yep.
I don't see any of that here. I mean, we don't have a form necessarily in this case, but I would like to see something from the fiduciary and city staff on this at some point.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just was
Yeah.
saying that I'm getting a lot of information
Yeah.
with this detail.
I guess I would just ask for what additional detail, if you're not asking like for receipts, are you asking for like a signed document from the fiduciary to confirm that this is accurate, and then that to be signed by maybe Corey, who worked with Tasha during the process, or?
I think that'd be great. I think that's typically what we do in situations with change orders. Now we have a form in those cases, but yeah, I'd like to see that, and that would be sufficient to me, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments from council?
My question is the $1,856.21 that's left over, does it just go back into our ARPA funding
It would, yes.
balance? Okay.
Okay.
Just to close it out, for a city who's never done this before, with a contractor who's stepping in and helping out and being a new organization, like these are all we're just applying lessons learned, I think.
Yep.
So I look at all this as like, this is an after action report. What do we do well? What do we want to do better in the future? And that's how I'm taking these things. And so we'll get what we need to do for this. We'll be informed for the future.
Yeah, I would concur, and I would just also agree with Councilmember Gunn that Residents in Action, in my opinion, was definitely the right partner for this particular project. Not only did you guys make a noticeable difference and impact during that time, if we had a never-ending well to support this project, it's obvious and apparent that it's needed, because the reverse of the cliff that we have ran into at this point is very evident, in the uptick of wandering individuals that we have back in our downtown area. So again, thank you for the work that you've done. And I guess we can just look to have those items that are left undone followed up with by Corey and City Manager to report back to us that they were completed. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion to accept and place this report is been made, and the clerk will tally and display the vote. Okay, passes unanimous. Okay. It passed unanimously. I realize that didn't show up on the screen, probably because it was not listed as an action item, but I thought it would be important for us to vote to accept and place that on file. So that brings us down to new business 11.1. Looking for a motion and support for the purchase of a Dodge Durango for the police department in the amount of $45,925 to be used as a patrol vehicle.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Anybody not voted yet?
You didn't see anything?
So, nobody voted?
I voted.
I voted.
I want to refresh on the top, right?
Yeah, top left.
Yeah, wherever it is.
There it is.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, okay. I'm not seeing it on the screen, but that passes 6-1, 1 nay by Will Forgrave. Not sure why it's not showing all of a sudden. Okay, brings us down to item 11.2, looking for a motion of support for the City of Jackson's right of first refusal.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and supported to approve a resolution to decline exercising the City of Jackson's right of first refusal under PA 123 of 1999 for 35 properties identified in Exhibit A of the attached resolution. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And that passes unanimous. I'm just going to announce it. Something's going on with the system, so just be patient with us. It's not showing again. Okay, brings us down to 11.3, looking for a motion and support for change order 2 of the Martin Luther King Equality Trail.
Here it is.
Something just happened.
Yeah. Clerk just took control of everything. Oh, that's what it did. It's fast forwarding through everything. Okay, because I totally lost my spot reading. Okay, change order 2 to the Martin Luther King Equality Trail lighting contract with Cochran Electric Company in the amount of $5,513.18, and that is an increase for that project.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. There we go. Passes unanimous. It is back on the board. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That brings us down to 11.4, looking for a motion to support to change the standard lighting contract for streetlights with Consumers Energy. Approve a resolution to change for a change to the standard lighting contract with Consumers Energy for one new street light across from 1308 Williams Street, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the appropriate documents.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote.
We need the magic word for Andrea before. There you go.
Passes unanimous, brings us down to 11.5. Looking for a motion and support for an amendment 1 to the 23-002 Major Street Engineering Contract.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported for the approval of Amendment 1 to the 23-002 Major Street Engineering Contract with Hubble, Roth, and Clark Incorporated of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, at a not-to-exceed cost of $80,700, and authorization for the city manager and city engineer to sign the appropriate documents. Any discussion on the item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, could
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mr.
Freddie Davis.
Engineer give us some update, please? Mr. Engineer.
He's right behind you.
I know he is. Engine number 9.
What's the question?
Just a little update.
Just updates on this? Okay, there's 4 items that consist of this, this amendment that we put in here. One is to apply for a raise grant, and we had to get the work done first, and so that's actually been done, submitted. We're waiting. The raise grant is supposed to be, I think, June 28th when they will make the decisions on that. Next item is the safety grant and the Category F grant applications. That, again, because of time, we needed to get that in before we could get this amendment put together. That one, council approved the submitting of the Category F for Wisner Street at the last council meeting. The next one is construction engineering on the 2023 hot mix asphalt patching. That one will be coming to the city council, the contract award for that at the May 23rd meeting. And then the 4th item is at the Cooper and I-94 roundabout, changing the landscaping there that had the trees to having, putting in some flag poles. When we were talking with the Department of Transportation, they want the soil borings, have the foundation design for the flag poles, have a whole bunch of information and everything else. And so we're getting that put together. We've got soil borings scheduled for like next week to go in there, and putting together the structural design for the foundation. So that's what that one is. So those are the 4 items that make up this amendment that we have before you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, council? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And 11.5 passes unanimous. Brings us down to 11.6. Looking for a motion and support on the resolution for approval of a contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to 11.7. Looking for a motion and support on the 2023-2024 CDBG HOME and annual action plan submission.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote.
Mm-hmm. Let me try it again.
All right, item passes unanimous. Should be displayed up there. Also, that brings us down to 11.8. Looking for a motion and support for the sale of city-owned property 404 Home Wild in the amount of $8,000 to Everhome Investments.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous, brings us down to 11.9, looking for a motion and support for the sale of city-owned property 1034 William Street in the amount of $7,000 to Dandrell Williams.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous. Brings us down to 11.10, looking for a motion and support for the reallocation of program income to CDBG administration.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
No questions for me.
Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimously. Brings us down to 11.11, looking for a motion and support for the Ella Sharp Park Miniature Golf Course Fountain Upgrade Project Contract to Wilcox Lawn and Landscaping of Clark Lake, Michigan, in the amount of $120,953.90.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
Big difference in those bids. Or we paying travel time?
All right, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous and moves us to item number 12. Council member comments. Council member Angelica Gunn.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Gosh. I guess I'm not really sure I have any comments tonight. I do want to thank RIA again for their thorough report. And, we got it when we got it. And I did read it over lunch, and then I came early so I could see it off my phone. And read it, and I think they were able to serve more people than anticipated, and way more people, and provided more than just hoteling. And I think some of the scrutiny may come too because it's a federal, federal funds, and RIA is a new program that we don't know, and this is a new process for us. I think that may be where some of the scrutiny is, but I think, all along we got updates that showed that they were moving activities forward. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the work that you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dancy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to make an announcement. I have a community meeting, ward meeting, whatever you want to call it. Neighborhood meeting, something. It'll be Thursday, 6 o'clock at DPW, whatever that address is. City manager.
521 Water Street?
Yep, 521 Water Street.
521 Water Street.
8 a.m.
Yeah, May the 11th, 6 o'clock. So we have Mr. Osborne and staff there just to talk about the proposed rate increase, water rate increase. So just get them together, have people come out, have questions. If they want to have questions, ask this question, maybe get some questions answered. Also, Friday from 8 to 2 at the Lilly Mission Center, Racial Equity Committee is having a summit. So if you're available, I think that's been put out, but we'll talk about it more. But if you're available and come out, we appreciate you come out and get your feedback, questions, anything you may have. That's all I have. Good night. Sleep tight.
Vice Mayor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to thank RIA for what you did with the homeless people over the past winter. I also want to thank the staff, council, residents that participated in our cleanup for MLK Drive. It turned out to be a really good day. We got lots of work done, but we still have more work to do. But it did make a difference. The YPOP youth group was there as well. I don't want to miss them. Those kids were working hard, raking getting all those old leaves up, and it just was a good day for us making changes. There were businesses that came out, the tree service, the cats, or whatever they call all of those trucks. I mean, it was amazing to see how those machines can lift up, and those trees were cut down and whatever through the tree, a grinder. But it was a good day, and I even got stopped. I forgot to take my name tag off. I kept my shirt on purpose, but my name tag was on, and there was a couple of people I ran into in stores afterwards. They said, "Hey, you guys were," I said, "Yeah, that was us. We were up there working to clean up the neighborhood." So it was a good day. I look forward to doing some more work in that area to bring some more life and clean up that neighborhood, okay? Thank you.
Councilmember Forgray.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I would like to say also thank you to Rhea for all the work you've done. I think you've done a really good job. I think publicly and some on council to a certain extent have been critical. I do see your point. I do think some of that criticism, at least publicly, we all know where that's coming from. With that being said, and to piggyback off Councilwoman Gunn's comments, I don't think council is being overly critical and asking for a little bit of backup to these numbers. We ask for it with other contractors. And something tells me too, I think the feds are gonna be asking the same questions, and they're gonna be asking for receipts. Even if we don't get them, the feds will be asking for them. So I think it is important, and I'm glad to hear that we have them. So, that's everything for me. Thanks.
Councilmember Bonnell.
Thank you. I want to echo most of my fellow council members' comments in thanking Tasha and her team at RIA. Obviously, this is a project that we have never attempted before, so a lot of this was a learning process for us, as well as I'm sure this was a large-scale project for you as well. And I do want to thank you and your team for all of your hard work on that project. I also want to thank our city staff for all of their work putting together the budget for us. I know that that's not an easy thing to do, to put together such a large scale of a budget. And I also want to thank Christy, who is no longer here, for all of the work that she did for the Fifth Ward Cleanup Day, and also for Laura for helping her with that as well. I had other commitments and I wasn't able to be there for that, and I was disappointed when she told me what day she picked for that, because I already had something on my calendar for a couple of months. But I look forward to working with her, working with other people in Fifth Ward and obviously our other wards to help get all that debris cleaned up. And that's it for me.
Councilmember Schlechte.
Your opportunity is going to come because she wants to do the alley between Fourth and Fifth. So, and it is pretty overgrown. Tasha, I'm going to echo criticism doesn't mean that you didn't do a good job. And I was at that resource fair that you put on, and you were very, very creative, and you had an amazing turnout. So, thank you for that. I gave John Dowling a little booklet on a radar sign that I thought might be useful I'm sure he'll look into it. For our neighborhoods, it flashes how fast you're going. So I was told that the guy who ran the last accident at Washington and West Avenue was going 50 miles an hour when they ran through the stop sign. So I don't know what you're going to do with that intersection, but I know you're looking into it, John. And then I had asked Andrea about the Elections Commission being on the website, and her response was that there were several, our website, and I'm paraphrasing, so our website could only put so much on there, but I would like to see if we can make sure all of our commission, and that there were other commissions and committees that weren't on the website meeting agenda, and I would think it would be important that all of our commissions and committees should be up on there and noticed out, not just a sign on the front door, because not everybody goes to City Hall on a regular basis. So I would like to know which commissions and committees aren't on there and see if we can get those on there. Is that possible? Mr.
Yeah, like you, first I learned that we didn't have all boards and commissions on there, so
Okay.
we want to rectify that.
Okay, when I went through, a while ago, I was updating my calendar, and when I went through what was on the list that was given to me from Lisa, I thought I caught them all, but apparently I did not, so. And then a big shout out and thanks to Christy Davis. I mean, I gotta tell you, here's a citizen who took the initiative to take on a big project and cleaning up the Fifth Ward, and I kept saying, boy, your heart's bigger than you're gonna have time for or energy for, and you know, you're gonna be exhausted, and we couldn't get to everybody, and some people were not anywhere close to the Fifth Ward that wanted us to come and help them. And most people were very appreciative of the work that Christy organized and spearheaded, and she got people to volunteer, and the church was a big help, the First Presbyterian Church with their parking lot. And a big thank you to Emmons and our city staff, Tim Pickett and his crew. They were they were all very happy and just pleasant. Like, it was very nice. It was a perfect day for doing it. And I did get a chance to drive down the MLK and see how hard everybody was working there. The most fascinating thing to me was that tree that was right next to a house, a very tall house and a very tall tree. And I don't know what tree service was cutting that tree down, but I thought, oof.
That was me up there.
Yeah, I saw you. You had a picker or something that you were getting the trash. You were walking the streets.
Don't sleep on me, Laura. I can cut a tree down.
Well, I bet you can. I bet you can. So, but that was, it was an interesting day. Our city staff worked really hard, both at MLK. You had a lot more people there, but you were doing such different things. And, shout out to you and whoever organized that, because you guys seem to have had that really well planned, and I think it's a good template for other community events throughout the entire city. So thanks for doing that, Arlene and Daniel and whoever else is on your list. So that's all I got.
Right. Madam Clerk, did you want to? I think our clerk had a comment right quick.
I just wanted to clarify, in terms of what space capacity the website has, I'm not sure. In terms of the agenda center, where minutes are kept, the Election Commission has never been on that page. And I think that's what City Manager Green is going to look into, maybe changing that and adding those other commissions. But the Election Commission, since I've been here in 2017, has never been a part of the Agenda Center.
Thank you for clarifying. I was actually going to ask that. Okay, at first I thought I didn't have no comments. But I'm going to go quick.
Remember Freddie?
I know it. Well, we already, it's blown out the water already.
Well, that had to do with the voting. That didn't have to do with you.
So first thing I want to just give recognition that May is Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And last year we did honor this month, one with a proclamation, which was the first time that ever happened. And we also planted a very beautiful cherry blossom tree over at Mormon Park. You should ride by it. I'm not sure if that one has flowered, but today I was out at Jackson College and they planted one out there as well. And just like to see that and know what it represents and know that we'll have the same one, because I'm not sure how much ours is bloomed. It was quite a bit smaller. but those are just beautiful trees, and what it signifies is just such a wonderful thing. So I just wanted to give that recognition right quick. Thank you to Mr. Imhoff for his comments during our public our session on the fact that we should be being good stewards over all of the artwork. And Laura has brought that up before in our budget session. And I think that one of the things that we can do is start with cleaning up that In Defense of the Flag that's right in downtown. I do know that there was a proposal that was submitted that I'm going to pass over to the city manager for consideration. It's under $10,000 to get that cleaned up, and I think that would just be a great start for us to start having some stewardship over the money that we put into our public art. Thank you, to the staff, and specifically to John Willis and the rest of the MLK Corridor and planning team who carried out the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. It was a beautiful thing to see happen, and it was even more beautiful to me to be able to see, for I believe, like one of the first times that I've seen citizens on social media defending the work that we did, saying, no, this was not just a project where the city came and cleaned up city-owned projects. They took a fence off my mother's yard. They took a tree down out of my yard that needed to be removed for years. Just different comments like that, and seeing that initial impact. And I'm just like very excited to see what's next. And I know that the work isn't all the way completed yet, but just very excited to see the work that's going to happen next in the transformation and revitalization of the MLK corridor. Definitely want to echo what has already been said about Miss Christy Davis. I hope that she's listening, because I think we need more citizens like you who are willing to not just present that there is a problem, but in that same fashion present that there is a solution that they want to help implement and then execute it, because we cannot do it all. But very thankful that we had people like Laura Schlechte also, who stepped up and volunteered her time on such a beautiful day that she might have been able to play golf that day. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, because that's probably what I would have been doing if I wasn't cleaning up. But just to be able to sacrifice that time to help in that cleanup, just want to say thank you to everybody who was involved in that as well. And we should work hard to make sure that that continues to happen, because if we want to see a better city, and this goes in all aspects of life to me, if you want better, you want more, you want things to change, step number one is stewardship over the things that you already have, which means taking care of what you already have. And that's what we're working to do. I am probably going to steal this from the city manager, because I see it's up on his page already. But there is a city cleanup day on May 13th. Bring your yard waste, grass clippings, brush, and standard household trash, boxes, furniture to the DPW building at 521 Water Street. We will not be accepting batteries, tires, kitchen garbage, paint, liquid waste, appliances that contain or have contained Freon, all hazardous waste, electronics, motor oil. Enter at Water Street and Morrell Streets using the exit of Franklin Street. Stay in your vehicle and drive through the drop-off zones, and that is from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on the 13th of May. Sorry, City Manager, I had it on my list, but I did see that you had it up. It's already been said, but I'm going to say it again. I do want us to figure out why the Elections Commission is not listed on the website, and I know it's going to be addressed already. And the major question that I had has already been answered, which I will reiterate, that those minutes have never been on the website. So it's not been maliciously removed. There's not a conspiracy with our Elections Commission, and I think it's something that, well, I still appreciate that it was brought up, because I do think that we need to add it on there if there's a capacity in a way that we can get it added on there. But I will say I would recommend for us to go a step further and just give the entire website a thorough review to make sure that all information is accurate and all things are updated, not just this particular commission. I think the entire website should be updated. There's a couple of other places, and it may be because some of those commissions or committees are a little bit less active or a little bit less paid attention to, where it doesn't really show an accurate time or place or date where the meetings are happening. So some of that stuff, I think we should just do an overall thorough inspection of the website, make sure all information is accurate. And I'm not saying this to hurt anybody's feelings, but it would not hurt my feelings for our city website to have a new look. Just saying. Maybe a project for the future, but just wanted to mention that also, that it wouldn't hurt for it to have a facelift. Man, today was a pretty dope day. Myself and John Willis and the city manager were invited over to Alro Still. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the State of the City, for the first time in history that I know, if somebody knows differently, they can come correct me. But for the first time in history, we gave away a key to the city. And I know most people already heard this, but but in my opinion, if it's a good idea, it's not an original idea. When I thought about doing this, I sat on the idea, and a good friend of mine reached out to me and said, "Hey, you've been doing great things. Maybe you should give away a key to the city." And I'm like, okay, so I know it's a good idea because now somebody has brought it to me, and we took action on it. So shout out to Lisa for getting the plaque together. But when I have an idea, generally I will call both the city manager and John Willis to use as a sounding board for the idea itself. And when I talked to both of them, I said I would like to give 2 away for this year. And I know for myself, I will only give 1 away at any subsequent State of the City addresses where I have the opportunity to give away a key to the city. It'll only be 1 given away from this point forward. And I think that's how it should be, because this year we really set the bar and we set it high because it should be, because this is like the highest award that somebody can be bestowed for the service that they provided to our city. And the 2 names that I came up with when I called them, I said, hey, I'm just looking to see if you have some names that you can provide that would be a good idea for this. And I'm thanking Pastor James Hines and Al Glick. And the response that I got from both Jonathan and the city manager was the same. Well, I don't really need to think about it anymore. That's the perfect 2 individuals. So the Glick family reached out to the office and said, we're not able to attend the State of the City, but we don't want to send a representative. We want to make sure that you hand deliver that directly to the family, and we want to do it at a time when all the family can be there. So today we were able to go over to Alro Still and present that key to the city, and just want to thank them for making time. And I'm sure that they got very busy schedules running such a large company, that they took the time to accept that award on behalf of Al Glick for the great work that he's done, and the impact that's still being felt in this community from him and his family. So just want to thank them for being able to deliver that personally to him. Man, last and definitely not least, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mama. I'm sure she's not listening, but I'm going to call her and tell her, hey, you need to go watch the meeting. To my mother, to my wife, for being such a phenomenal mother to my children, to my sisters who are mothers, and to all the mothers out there, just a happy Mother's Day. While you should be appreciated and celebrated every day, Mother's Day is a special day that you should be extra celebrated. And to all those who may not be mothers but are mothering somebody, happy Mother's Day to you also. Mr. City Manager.
Nothing for me tonight.
All right. Looking for a motion of support to adjourn.
So moved.
What happened here? Wait a minute.
He was asleep.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.